Good afternoon. It's October 28th, 2022, and today we had an uptrend all day pretty much. Not pretty much, all day. Even after the close, you can see it even rallied up a little more. So it's actually a 150 point rally just about. So big time rally. Let's take a look at these trades. We had that news item early in the morning. So you can see there was a little sell-off in the overnight, followed by a rally up here, and then a break of that channel, right before the news item came out. And then the news item came out, it came up, tested the top of this channel, and we just started making lower highs. And so when you get this lower high, that's technically a second entry short. You might consider that. There's enough room back to the EMA to scalp out. So you might consider it. But anyway, then we start trending higher. And come up here and you actually get a second entry. But that signal bar is very neutral. So I don't think you want to take that. And then it's looking like a range really, but we make higher lows. But this one closed beneath my trend line, so I don't think you can take that as like a higher low. It's also just not a good signal bar. Then we come up here, first entry, second entry happens here, but this looks good enough. This looks like a second entry long off the key entry point. Great signal bar. Room to the highs to scalp out, so you might take that. But then we get another break and moved higher, so you gotta watch out now. And then we start going sideways, and you get the second entry long, but we're going sideways, and I don't think you can take that. But then when you get this second entry long, that's also a double test. I like that. Very good signal bar. I like that. And so now we've made a break of this channel over here and then a move to a new high, a couple legs to a new high. So you get this second entry short and it looks like a double test with plenty of room back to the EMA. It's just counter trend, but I do like this. Enough room back to this level of resistance or support even. Then we come down here and you get a second entry short. That looks pretty good to me. Only problem is you're going into that what could be support. But this is a new high and you get a first entry, second entry, failed. So that's a failed second entry long, and it's also, it broke beneath this range, tested it once and tested it twice. So I think that's a good entry, and you can see a lot of people like that one. And then it bounced, and we just, after that, it was pretty clear that this thing was just moving on up. And you get a second entry long right here, but this looks like a range, so I'm not crazy about that one. It turns out to be a trend. You got this double test right here that's also a second entry long, and maybe you do take that, but I don't like it. It's far from the EMA and even the trend line, so I'm not crazy about it. But when you come down here and you get this fourth test, perhaps you take that. But then you get this is a second entry long off the midline, off the EMA. It's a higher low after this, so I like that one. We form this range, we break out to the high side, it fails, and you get momentum that breaks to the low side. So maybe you take this failed break lower with room back to the EMA, or at least I think there's room. 74. That's a tough one. There are only 3 ticks back to the EMA, but to the midline, there's more than 4 ticks. So then we get this correction. It breaks. We bounce. I don't think you want to go short on a day like today. We get this range. It fails out the low side and fails, but we don't get a higher low, and that just forms this spike in channel. So I mean, if it's hard to recognize this one early. But maybe you could have taken this one if you recognize this. So I'll mark that green. But then you get up here and you're going into the midline. of the channel, and these are not off the trend line anymore. If you had it drawn like this, maybe. Then we make these lower highs, and first entry failed second entry, but that's just too congestive. Come up here, first entry, second entry long. It's in a range, but I think there's room to the highs, and I think this is I'd probably be okay with this one. It looks like it's off a key entry point. You actually get a failure right here, but it doesn't trigger, and it's just too congestive. Second entry long right here. If you saw this trend channel, I would say this is blue. I didn't see it. There's dojis though, so it's just tough. And then this one, well, if you had this channel drawn, you wouldn't have gotten trapped. And I don't think you want to go short on a day like today. Get a second entry long right here. That's also a failure. So maybe you take that one. With all these dojis, I wouldn't like that. And it looks like that pretty much takes us into the end of the day. So I mean, not a whole lot, unfortunately. Maybe on a day like today, you just want to be more aggressive and buy the lows and just hold. But yeah, that wraps it up for the week. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday.